Oh, we're here. Okay. Now I can stop jamming out. Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is gonna be a nice chill stream. I hope you all can hear me. I think mic check. Yep, we're good. We are good. So, hello, Hostman. Hello, Brian Rock Rail fan. Okay, we got everybody over here. Oh, David's in the crowd. We got Aruko. Hello. Hello, Ricardo. Okay, I think I can still read my katakana, right? I had that drilled into me in college. We're all good, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to this Chill Sunday stream here on American Rail Club. The pre-Christmas stream, the celebrating 2023. How's it going? I hope you all have a good weekend or about to have a good week. Last week before Christmas. Hope we're all good. Wherever you are in the world, as you can see behind me, as my head isn't smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But here we are. Okay, so we're all chill. Areku. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I got it right. I think so. I think I got it right. There you are, Ricardo. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's bring everybody. If you guys want to join the open mic, go ahead, click on the link, join the Discord chat, get on board, and let's talk it up, and we'll have everybody come on in, and we'll talk about whatever's infrastructure, trains, high-speed rail, passenger rail, whatever you guys want to talk about. The floor is yours. But let's go ahead and bring it in. Let's see if we can get the pop out over here. Hope you guys can hear me. There we go. Let's pop this out. Let's bring it up to the side. There we go. All right. So not cover too much of our lounge over here. There we are. If you guys want to speak, put your hand up. Hello, Tobio, and hello, David. Come on in. There we are.
Hello?
Yep. Loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All righty. How's it going, man?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Oh, doing good. It's been a good week. Can't complain. Again, my apologies for everybody for last stream that we didn't get or weren't able to get to the commenters or anything. For some reason, we're having technical difficulties, but here we are. Hey, David.
Get lit, bud. I'm on live stream too, so it's a collab.
Oh wait, are we doing this now? We're doing this? Is that what we're doing? The double stream?
Yep, I get double stream.
Nice, man. Nice.
Perfect timing because I just started a live stream a few minutes before you did, and I didn't even know you were live streaming tonight.
Yeah. Funny enough, I actually got this. What was it, on Friday or Saturday? I was actually timely about this because I was going to say Saturday. I said, you know what, let's push it to Sunday. But here we are, enjoying a nice Sunday. And this may be a shorter one. Maybe we can keep it under an hour or so. I'm planning more streams for Christmas. A, because we're here, this stuff is working. B, I will be going to Florida, hopefully, God willing, in the next week or so to spend Christmas with the family. So we'll be doing some Christmas streams there. Darius will be on board and everything. And I'm definitely going to check out Brightline. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole Miami to Orlando thing, but definitely going to check it out. Because, yeah, right now, money and budget's a little bit tight, but definitely, for sure, I may want to try Miami to Aventura. That may be interesting.
Oh yeah, I know that, but let me be honest, and this if I do want to bring up some good news. Money have been put aside for the project that they've been talking about for years, from Charlotte to Atlanta.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that now. Let me see. In fact, I got, where is it? Here we are. Okay, I know I had this somewhere here. A proposed high-speed rail connecting Atlanta, Charlotte potentially includes upstate stops. So, yeah, that's all part of it. And I think they got, what is it, $34.5 million through corridor identification, and Atlanta to Charlotte got part of it.
That a big step forward. I'm not gonna lie, big step forward because let's be honest. Once that started happening, it's only a matter of time because let's not forget that how Brightline was able to get its foot in the door, am I right?
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. So you already have the corridors there. People know what corridors exist, right? You have, of course, Miami to Orlando. That's done. Atlanta to Charlotte, St. Louis to Chicago, you have the Texas Triangle, you have California, you have the Northwest corridor. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different places where this can work. So it's all a matter of having it work in one place and just starting to dot the rest of the map forward, like you had with Las Vegas to Los Angeles with Brightline West. So it's just step by step by step, and that's what we've been doing. This year has been a very good year for rail. Not gonna lie, this has been a very good year.
And by that,
that is true. That is very true.
Is it okay if I speak up for a second
Sure.
and ask a question to Demetrius? So as you may know, this month we got a plentiful of corridor projects around the U.S. There are many fundings for the project fundings and everything. So what do you envision the state of the passenger rail in the U.S. be like in, let's say, 5 or 10 years from now, like in 2028 or 2033?
2020. Let's say 2030, right? Because that's about a good 5 years or so plus one. So 2030, I definitely see Brightline West happening.
All right,
Maybe.
I'm gonna watch something.
Yeah, maybe one or two other lines maybe in construction at that point, but I think I see it at that point. Since our generation is going to be a bit more in charge, there's going to be a lot less barriers to pushing for high speed rail, right? Because as we've been seeing, especially in the realm of where I've been in Florida, it was very much gate kept by the people who were in charge there, and as that demographic begins to change, you're going to see a lot more openness to having passenger rail of all different types and sorts and coming out. I mean, you see in different cities the revival of the streetcar, albeit it's not as cool as it used to be 100 years ago. But you see cities like Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, Tampa, some other cities dotting the place. I mean, passenger numbers have been increasing for all these modes of transportation. So there definitely is a demand for public transportation, high-speed rail, passenger rail, and it can't be ignored anymore because the rest of the world has also been building the same thing. They've been investing a lot of this for the last, we're talking 40, 50, 60 years in some places. So it's just now that we see that this is working, especially because the other part I also want to add in is because millennials and Zoomers don't tend to really be too much into, let's support everybody else. There's really now really much more of a political support to fixing and helping our own countrymen rather than let's go dump money somewhere else in the world or let's go start another war. Especially that. We don't want another war. We're done.
Right.
Our whole entire lives has been engulfed by it. Some of you guys here in the audience, haven't known anything beyond past the Iraq and Afghanistan war. Okay, I was like, in third grade when they started the invasion into Iraq. So I mean, and in first grade when the towers came down. So I mean, that's all we've known in our lives. So we're sick and tired of it. It's like, okay, we spent trillions of dollars for what? For what exactly? And for those of you who have family members who are veterans or who have served and have seen how messed up they've gotten from it, it's like I don't want that to happen to anybody, any other of my friends or my children or anybody else. We gotta start fixing and building stuff over here, which is, the tables have turned, and I'm glad to see it happen. It's just right now, time is on our side. That's at least a good thing. At least we can say time is on our side. Things are going our way. Is it as fast as we want it to happen? No, but we're definitely gaining velocity here. It's starting to get up there.
Oh yeah, that's true. And here at Benton, it mostly, and I'm bringing it up because when I would talk about earlier when I said we're doing a double live stream with me being live too, me and Val, we were doing our autism live stream when you started your live stream, so we did not even know, but a lot of people in the autistic community, we are literally trying to get it promoted because, one, not that many autistic people drive, and we want reliable transit That way, we don't have to for to get driver license. And also, and did the other thing, for the autistic community, transit is good for us. And thing is that the people who don't like transit are mostly ableist in a way. And I'll be on it, and I'll always say, if we want to build good transit and stuff, we gotta start calling the bad people out, you know?
Yeah.
I remember you did that a lot, Demetrius. Am I right?
Oh yeah, and Darius also helped out because, and again, Darius is autistic, so he's definitely pushed forward, and he'll agree with you absolutely 100% on that. And we'll bring that up when we go over there soon for Christmas. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, a lot of this the newer generation, they don't want to drive, and you see multiple headlines. Gen Z millennials don't want to drive, or they want to have a different chance, right? Because I like my car. I like cars. As much pain as my car has caused me, I still like it. I enjoy it. But then again, I'm much more of an enthusiast when it comes to that. Most people are not enthusiasts, right? They drive cars to go from point A to point B. And they're typically not good drivers, okay? If I were to gain a dollar for every time I see somebody not use the turn signal when they're supposed to, I would be rich every single time I drive. But unfortunately, the economy doesn't work towards my favor. But the thing is that we need to have another form of transportation, another option for people to use, and that's going to be on a foundational level, because the way that we make our cities and the way that we structure our communities are definitely not. It's definitely not for railroad. It's definitely not for public transit, and that's a part of a sad thing, because America used to have a extremely robust public transportation programs, and public transit and railroads all over the place. Especially when you see all these older movies. Because now we're watching a whole bunch of older Christmas movies, and it's just it's just sad to see what the New York subway system has turned into. But we'll get back to that. It's not that we haven't completely destroyed all of them. We'll get there. It's just a matter of going ahead and making that a priority to fix, because it hasn't been a priority in this country, right? Everything else has been a priority, but building good, robust transit.
Right. And also another thing, this is another question. What do you think is the next step for Texas Central and the California High Speed Rail as they got their fundings and the recent quota ID programs, and also what do you think are the steps for let's say for the next 1 or 2 years?
For California, they're probably just going to be building. There's really nothing else that California can really do right now except to just keep on building. They will probably be able to pick, hopefully at some point, the equipment. They have that RFQ already put out, the request for proposal, so hopefully they'll have a contract selected and set up. Probably will be most likely Siemens. I don't see anybody else except for maybe Alstom, but
Hopefully Siemens too.
Yeah, those are really the two big players in there. Unfortunately,
Now,
I don't see the Japanese winning. As much as some of us love the Japanese and the Japanese train systems, the only chance that really has at going anywhere is at Texas. For Texas, I do see them getting out and trying to bring back the Texas Central Railway in some sort of form or manner. That will be back in the spotlight again. I don't think they'll be building in 2 years. That I don't think so. But I definitely see it back in the political quagmire. Maybe not as bad as it was before, but certainly somewhere out there that it's getting there. And again, this is discounting any sort of outside influence, or let's say 2024 the election turns out to be an absolute it's not just a couple people at the Capitol anymore. It turns into whatever trailer for that new Civil War movie that's supposedly is gonna come out. I hope that's not gonna happen soon. Just wait. Can I please? I haven't gotten my homestead yet. Wait, please. Give me a chance here. None of us have homes, please. But still, I think that will probably happen. not the Civil War, but at least Texas. Yeah, Texas getting forward.
Yeah, so you're saying that they will at least kind of come back to life slowly.
Oh yeah, I mean you got $500,000 there. I mean that's got to come out with a good study, a much better. I wouldn't say a much better study because I mean they had a lot of studies already done through Texas Central Railway. Maybe this will give the company a reboot. The Japanese may get involved again. The Spanish may get involved again. So
Yeah,
let's
well,
see.
apparently, according to some of the press releases back in August, there's a high chance that the Japanese are still involved, and not only that, but back in October of last year, when the mayor of Houston and a bunch of other business owners in Houston went to Japan, they actually went on the Shinkansen that was sponsored by the TCR and JRC. So I would say the Japanese still has a chance of being involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Brightline. Or not Brightline. I meant Dimitri. I will bring it up. I'll bring it up, Dimitri. That I think if Amtrak is going to plan for another high-speed train set, they're not going to go with Awesome. You know.
Yeah, that's turned out to be kind of a disaster, a quiet disaster in a sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to what you were saying, Toby. I'm sorry to interrupt, David, because Toby, you had something here that was good. Yeah, that's the thing. Is that that for as long as I can remember, the Japanese have been really involved to try to open up shop for business over here in the United States because they know, and they've been knowing for however many decades that this is a massive market that's untapped for high-speed trains. China has already been pushing very heavily in the global market for their systems. They already have them in various places in Southeast Asia, some places in Africa. Not true high speed, but their own rail systems there. And
railroad sponsored by China.
Yeah, right. It was CRH. So and also in some places in Europe. So Japan has been really trying to get something exported out to the world. They see the United States as a big player in this, especially with and there's projects like the Northeast Maglev, which I don't think it's really getting much traction right now. No pun intended, but. The thing is that this is a very big step forward for the United States, right? We haven't even gotten a baby step in. We've gotten a baby step in with Brightline, but now we're telling you, okay, go ahead and fly. Here's a maglev we can build between New York and DC. That's a massive step, and I don't know. There is a way to do it, but again, there's really no way to do it without massive political support between every player that you need there, and that's the thing. There's political support, but it's not like this is great, and this is then they'll all come out of the woodwork. It'll be fantastic to do ribbon cutting. You'll have Joe Biden with Private Sector West, as he calls it. Oh man, to go ahead and do the press release there and go do a stump speech. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. Unless you can find some 5'2" guy, dress him in Ranger green fatigues, and put him in front of Congress in an accent and ask for money for high-speed rail. I don't really know. There's another way to get it really moving forward.
Yeah.
Now I will say that if Amtrak's going to go a third high-speed train set, they're going to probably go with the Sheeman this time,
Yeah. And they have a much better proven track record, pun intended.
And I think even though the Avail of Liberty, they look cool and I like their look, I think Ulsan done that for their competition. I mean their chance here in the U.S. by that,
Yeah, that's a big splotch on their part, and that's really going to hurt their chances.
Not just that, the same train set that they have here in the U.S., they have in France, and it had a problem too.
Yeah, and that's pretty sad to hear, but it's we should have been having the Avalia. They should have been out already, done and going two years ago at the very least. You know, it's a little ridiculous. You know, we're still in the testing phase. They still don't have the required, all the documents and everything else that they need, and all the specifications, requirements. You know, it's kind of silly. You know, can it run in service? Yeah, it should be able to, but you know, it's just a lot of other silly stuff that needs to be added in there.
Oh, I know.
Right.
And thing is that hopefully by 2024 they're up and running fully, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Hopefully.
they should, right? We say they should, and then we'll be talking about this in 2026, right? I hope not.
I know. Let's hope we're not in the same situation by 2026.
Yeah.
Because by then I'm pretty sure that Awesome should just stay away from the U.S. market right then.
I mean, I could vouch for the Germans. I mean, whatever stuff that they got over here, this is what is this? Schinclara Historic Smoked Beer Brewery. This is really good stuff. So, I mean, the Germans have something going good here. So.
And well, I gotta give it to some of my ancestors across the pond because you know I'm multi-ethnic, so part German, part Native American.
Everybody's part something here in the United States. You know, we're all part something here.
But let me be honest, Amtrak. Hopefully, Amtrak get this fixed, and we don't have to wait another year. But good news is that Amtrak is finally. And I'm saying this, it finally gives them new routes like Ohio, Ohio, they're talking about adding new routes, if y'all have not heard.
Yeah, that I heard about, and that's definitely been needed in Ohio because Ohio is a pretty populated state, and a lot of people don't think it is. It's very, you know, I mean, come on, it's one of the biggest battleground states every time there's a political election. But I mean, there's so many cities there to connect. I mean, you have Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, a whole bunch of, you know, the whole state there works for high speed rail. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and it had a very robust railroad passenger rail system before, so there's no reason as to why it shouldn't now in this era.
And that is true. That is true. And thing is, and I'll be honest about it, is that they're finally getting around to bringing back. And also, Chicago might have even more Amtrak trains because they are planning more trains for Wisconsin and Milwaukee.
Yeah. My girlfriend will be glad to hear that since she's from Milwaukee, Catherine. And I mean, she got me this for my birthday, so yeah, I mean, I gotta rep it. All right, Grand Trunk Railway fan, I brought you on too. If anybody else, again, if you guys in the chat, and I'm sorry for kind of ignoring chat over here. Shock2957 with the super chat, thank you. Maybe a video on how to effectively lobby for train service. Yeah, I know I did a video like that maybe a good 4 years ago, but all the videos need to be updated to some point or so. You know, everything is on the table. I will say the next video I'm working on is going to be on Brightline West. When I do go to Florida, I am going to be taking some footage of Brightline and basically showcasing how it will be adapted for Las Vegas to Los Angeles. And maybe I can get an interview with somebody there. I can, you know, kind of use my connections there, Brightline, see what I can get, but we'll see. I may have time maybe to do a meetup. I don't know, but you know, when it's Christmas with my family, you barely have time to breathe. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll play by ear.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to go off the idea that you were talking about on the maglev between New York and Washington, D.C., it goes back to the last point I was going to make for the previous stream when my computer decided it didn't want to connect for some reason. Technically, if you want to look into the raw numbers, Elon Musk's idea of the Hyperloop actually works, but there's a major asterisk on it, which a lot of people get annoyed about. Yes, it works. Every individual part works. combined has yet to be proven. And when the current California high-speed line was still in the 30 to 40 billion range, one of the universities, I can't think of the name offhand, at the time decided they wanted to do a study on how expensive it would be just to build a maglev system, and they came up to $100 billion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Elon-
It could have been UCLA. I'm not quite sure. Or it was,
Yeah, I can't think of the university offhand, but it's like, yeah, this is going to cost $100 billion. So how are you going to do it for 1/10 the cost? Put it in a metal pipe, throw solar panels on top of
Now-
it, and the vacuum system. It was beyond belief. So it's like that part. It's not really, but once you get to the actual raw numbers, it's more likely that such a system would only work basically for like an orbital ring or a space elevator kind of system to get you up into orbit, and less for ground transportation. And even then, your output in terms of people or cargo is going to be like at most a single train an hour each direction per tube.
Yeah.
So it's like on the economy side, there was very little argument for it. But if you wanted to go, but once you really get into the numbers for like 400 kilometers an hour, which is about 250 miles an hour and slower, just a regular train wins hands down. About 500 kilometers an hour, or about 310 or so miles an hour, a maglev is faster. Somewhere in between is where they split, but that gets into the really nitty-gritty details. But for the most part, as long as the maglev is going about 500 kilometers an hour, which the one between New York and DC is estimated to do that, it's actually a reasonable deal. And the other part that I was going to bring up is countries and individual places that are banning 2-hour long flights or shorter. If you actually stop and think about it for more than 5 seconds, that's the stupidest thing you can do for transportation.
Right.
Because if you want to take an airline and say, all right, you want to go to battery electric planes or hydrogen power planes, all right, what are the first planes you're going to get those? The smaller planes. They're going to have about 2 hours of endurance at most, but you've already banned those, so you can't get the planes that you want to get the technologies on to replace your current fleet. So you're basically shooting yourself in the foot to pat yourself on the back. So once you realize how stupid of an idea that is, it's really hurting the industry in the long term in order to look good in the short term. But for the most part, it's better just to figure out which cities work better with higher speed trains, which ones work with true high speed trains, and then faster than that, it's already getting into maglev technology.
Right.
But it's always simpler, both politically and economically, to retrofit the current systems than it is to build a completely new system.
right.
Which is why retrofitting old train lines into higher speed train lines is so appealing.
Yeah.
So
there's
balance
less.
upon each other.
Yeah, because there's less risk in the short term. Even though, yes, the maglev system would be far more efficient per capacity and per speed. And yeah, you're absolutely right on that. And something like the Hyperloop, I think Elon Musk has completely just let go of the idea at this point. He's not.
Well, he kind of sold the Hyperloop over to Virgin.
Yeah, and they're stuck with it now.
And they
Now I will bring up that even Elon Musk would, you know how much I don't like the guy. He even admitted that Hyperloop will both be vaporware to make high-speed rail look bad in the U.S. just for people to buy more of his tests. He even admits that.
I'm not gonna lie though, if somebody offered me a Cybertruck, I'd take it. I would.
electric vehicles on themselves are not that bad.
Yeah.
Because the technology is good. It's just the batteries keep letting them down because For the current ones, which is the lithium-ion battery, if it's made bad, if it's charged bad or damaged in any way, it releases all of its energy at once, creating those battery fires. Which is why Samsung, those hoverboards, and Teslas kept bursting into flames a few years back because it was one of those three events.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you want to actually have a better battery, well, that takes a completely new chemistry. That's 3 to 5 years to research. Then once you have the research done, it takes 3 to 5 years to bring it to market, and then another 2 to 5 years for it to be in the market to become the new major thing. So if that research was done today, we're still looking at 5 to 10 years before that new battery mixture is now mainstream.
Now
Yeah.
I will bring it up like when we were talking about airline, like here, Dane, and even Dimitri, you even know that the airlines hate inner city and high speed rail. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Because
It's-
yeah, because
Because
oh,
what's
sorry.
happening in Europe and Asia can happen here in the U.S.
Yeah, no wonder why the former employee of Southwest Airlines is just. I mean, the congressman who is the former employee of Southwest Airlines is now against TCR. So yeah.
Oh really? Wait, which what? Wait, this is. Maybe I have heard of this, but this is news to me. Do you remember the name of that?
Yeah.
Whoever that congressman.
Yeah, I said September, but I'll say again. His name is Jake Elsie. I'm pretty sure he represents the 6th District of Texas. Yeah, he's in the House of Representatives.
So Jake Olsey, 6th District. Let me see. Why is it not coming up for me? Jake Elsie. There we go. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Oh, and he's right south of Dallas. How high was he up in Southwest? Because I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can look him up on Open Secrets and see what he's. Let me just see if I can. I don't know. Let me see. Maybe he has a Wikipedia page or something. Or
Yeah, the thing on Southwest Airlines was on his Wikipedia page. Yeah.
let me see. Bachelor's political science from the Naval Academy. Deployed 9 times. Oh, okay. Worked as a pilot for Southwest Airlines and as a consultant. He was also associate aide to the White House during the Bush administration. Around 2012 to 2018, he was one of 5 commissioners of the Texas Veterans Commissions. Elsie was unsuccessful candidate in the 6th District, and then I'm pretty sure he took office. Okay, was elected in 2020. Okay.
So we know how dirty he is because I always say that if you have connections to the airline and you're in government and you're dead against rail, we all know you're getting paid to do that. Am I right?
Yeah. Hey, which is a shame given his military service, you know, and I'm. But you know, it's just what it is. You know, that's what you're going to be fighting nowadays. If somebody has those sort of connections to be able to do that, yeah, they're going to be vying for their team, and we don't really have anybody that's on Team Rail over here. And again, it's going to take time. We're getting there. The momentum and time is on our side. It's just, you know, we need some champions. And
we do.
yeah, especially in local areas, because we do have some. We had people that I've known personally in Florida that have done great to get this going. So it's just getting those people and supporting them all the way through in terms of it's alongside with the project. That's what we got to do.
Now, I will be honest, if it wasn't for Brightline down in Florida, I guarantee the money that it going to test the project here from Charlotte to Atlanta, I guarantee if Brightline had never pulled off what they pulled off in Florida, like we would not be seeing like other projects getting a chance.
Yeah.
And Amtrak would have probably not gotten its act together because let's be honest, when Brightline, what I'll be honest about, when Brightline line down in Florida finally started operating train from Miami to Orlando, it made Amtrak realize, yeah, we got to get our act together.
Yeah, and I think people people really started to take it seriously once it got the trains going between Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach, because they think, oh no, it wasn't going to get going, this is just going to fail. They got it going, then people were quiet, and then now people are taking it serious, especially, yeah, like you said, David, with Miami to Orlando going through, because they've gotten their ultimate promise done, right? High speed rail, Miami to Orlando, within 3 hours, they got that done.
And the thing is that now that down in Florida, that project in Florida is done, other cities and other states are looking at it saying, hey, we want it. And I guarantee that one of the reasons why they're finally starting to look at the high-speed rail project from Charlotte to Atlanta. It probably because of Brightline, Because if you see one state succeeding with it and people loving it, you're going to try to copy that homework. Am I right?
Yeah, and I'm just glad that we wouldn't be talking about this if it weren't for Brightline. Honestly, that's been the only reason why we're even talking seriously about this, because we'd be just another lost generation talking in, some, I don't know, cafeteria or some rented out convention center in a hotel or something, talking about high speed rail again. We can't go back to that. We now have an actual project, an actual thing that we can touch, see, and say, look, here, you want to ride it? There you go. Ride it. Imagine this in other places. Now we have, it's possible.
And just imagine, and just imagine that this is just a small victory. Let's just take it down from Orlando down to Tampa. It's a decent sized city, and let's just do the spur up to Jacksonville. It's like, all right, now you're at Jacksonville. That's just one stopover from Atlanta. So then, and then the Amtrak coming back from Charlotte to Atlanta. Then now all of a sudden it's like, you can go from Miami all the way up to Charlotte. Can't we add an additional line from Charlotte all the way up to DC? It's like, okay, which lines can be modified to take a higher speed train so we can at least get up to, say, 155 miles an hour, which is 250 kilometers an hour? Okay,
right.
It's not the fastest, but you're still going twice the legal driving speed on the highway, assuming that there's no traffic.
Right, and you don't. Not only do you have to, not only do you not have to drive, you can just relax and sleep on the train, or you can eat or do whatever you want. So you have the total freedom to just relax and chill back while you're going at the speed.
And then imagine on top of that, it's like, all right, you have to stop at the different train stations. Okay, when you're driving, do you have to stop to get gas, get the next meal, go to the restroom and stuff? Add in those stops, it's like, yeah, no traffic. It's just a 12-hour drive. It's like, okay, the train is 6 hours with all the stops included.
Now, there is. I do got some more good news. Is that we talk about, and it could happen in a lifetime, a high-speed rail line from Washington, D.C. to Raleigh, North Carolina, and they're talking about that too.
Yeah.
So, we could probably be seeing a train from Washington, D.C. to Raleigh of 160 to 180.
Yeah, it's all possible now. The possibilities are endless. The road is open. There is now a chance to have this happen in multiple places in the country. And funny enough, it started in Florida, of all the states. So
I know, and let's be honest, Florida technically put the foot in the ground, and the airlines, they fought it over there because they knew, and we even said that, and you even said that too. Moment that higher speed rail or even inner city higher speed rail succeed, the airline, like, they're confident already hook, line, and sinker. Literally. And the airlines, they are terrified because they will hope that that's project in Florida felt, because if it didn't, it put a ticket time limit on how long they got, and now their time limit is ticking, So they're still on borrowed time before the U.S. is covered by intercity and high-speed rail.
All right, and at this point, honestly, the airline should be doing what they've been doing in Europe and have been doing in Asia, is start just working together with the railroads, right? Because it's not that we're replacing one form of transportation. Like we've said multiple times, there's a sweet spot to where high-speed intercity transit and trains work is, between 250, 500, 600 miles, depending on who, right? Between more or less that given range.
Yeah,
Okay.
Speaking of airport and transit connection, we already have that kind of system. It's kind of working. For example, like over in the Northeast, the Newark Airport, it's served by an Amtrak station, which is Northeast Regional Stops, and so you can already see that it's already kind of there's a system that could potentially work even more. So yeah.
Yeah.
And-
So,
What were you trying to say? Sorry.
you're saying?
Oh, I see Brightline in the chat.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
I'll bring him
Brightline
on.
and Reynolds is both wanting on.
All right. Grand Trunk Railway fan, were you trying to say anything or?
Speaking of higher speed rail,
No, we can hear him.
they upgraded the Chicago. They already upgraded the Chicago St. Louis corridor to 110 miles an hour. Finally, in over a decade.
There we go.
Hello. Hello. Been a while.
Here we are. Okay, we're starting to get packed in here now.
Brightline, I was trying to give you the heads up that Dimitri was live streaming.
Ah. Yeah, there was a blackout.
Like, when you
Few
see,
minutes.
I met at that the American Rail couple live in chat.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to figure out what's the optimal range of rail versus like driving or flying, it's like, all right, what's the reasonable distance anyone's willing to get on the train? Can we say 3 hours? Would that be reasonable? Yes or no?
I would say up to like maybe 3.5 or maybe even 4, I guess.
Let's say for the argument it's 3 hours. All right, so let's use the Japanese Shinkansen in 700 series. All right, 205 miles an hour. All right, that's 615 miles. But let's say some people are willing to go further. So if we say 4 miles, that's 820 miles. So what is 820 miles? Well, if you start in, say, El Paso and you head west, well, you're about 45 miles outside of Los Angeles. But if you head east, you're all the way in Beaumont, Texas, which is on the other side of Houston. So it's like, all right, select a distance you want to travel. It's like, okay, if you say 4 hours, you're almost halfway across the continent. And that's not even using the fastest train available. That's using over a decade-old technology at this point.
Fastest train is the maglev, right?
Yes, the Japanese built their maglev, and it has gone over 600 kilometers an hour, which is a little over 400 miles an hour. But at 3 hours there, that's 1,200 miles. So you're already across Texas and partway across Louisiana from El Paso.
Yeah, and that's 400,
and
give or
that's at
take.
3 hours, no stops.
Yeah, and that's straight line speed because, of course, it's going to have to make some stops or it's going to have to get across terrain or, I mean, unless you're blasting through every single mountain that you can go through. And I think that was the big thing for the Hyperloop because when you see the videos or whatever, like they had some models of it going through and it was, going zipping in and out of mountains throughout, California, in through vineyards. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. You have one person, block the project and block eminent domain. That's it. That's the end of the Hyperloop because you can't just, I'm just going to, turn around and have like what we saw in one of the previous streams, the Spanish rail lines to get through the Cambrian mountains. It looked like a freaking initial D track. So, I mean, you can't do that with the Hyperloop. Either, people are going to die and get, ripped to shreds inside there, or it's going to have to slow down to almost a crawl to get around at that speed. So,
yeah. I mean, depending on the speed tells you how large of a curve you need to have. And even if you go very generous, you're still talking having either too sharp of a turn, so you're having multiple G turns, which is unpleasant. And if we want to go off of roller coaster regulations, you can't exceed 3 continuous G's of
Yeah,
force.
take grandma on a roller coaster. Did she unexpected roller coaster?
It's like, don't worry, this turn's only going to be 4.5 G's
Yeah.
for
No,
5 seconds.
it's just it's just doing stuff. It makes just do what makes sense. All right. Everybody else has had this. Can we just build our own, please? That's all we're asking for.
Exactly.
It's like, just go hire your team, send them to a country that actually builds it, and have them stay there for what, 6 to 18 months. Hire translators if you have to. It's like, all right, learn the best industry, best standards and practices. And it's like, all right, here's the best thing to do. This is how you do it, and here's the problems you should be able to avoid, and here's what issues might come up if you do this, that, or the other.
Yeah. Someone here in the chat on YouTube, Bastion. He mentioned get a Japanese consultation in to build it properly, corruption-free, and efficiently. And he also gently cautions, as a Brit, to American rail fans to be on alert how the government does privatization. Privatization spelled with an S in the British fashion. So like, don't let them go the franchise route that their government did. Yeah, because that's the thing. If everybody owns a piece of the pie and there's too many chefs in the kitchen, that's where it becomes a problem, right? Because the Japanese have it right. You have one company own the line, the stations, the trains in one section. That makes sense. But if you have one company own the lines, you have one company own the service, you have another company own the trains, you have another company own the concessions, you have another company, it's pure stupidity.
On top of that, it's like, yeah, you can get this line, but we're going to tell you when you're going to run that line, how much you can charge for the tickets, and what their penalties are if you don't meet it. And what are you talking about? You're going under. Just raise taxes. You're a private company.
That's it, like the Interstate Commerce Commission. Am I right? Right, Dimitri? Like, let's not forget. If we go back to the 50s all the way through the 70s, when we had reliable passenger rail in the U.S., the Interstate Commerce Commission restricted the railroad so badly that they could not even make money. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's just funny, when we're talking about, this is a free market country, land of the free and home of the brave. Except for railroads, we're going to tax them to more or less basically to death so we can build our own pet projects. It's silly.
Yeah.
And funny thing is, the car company, they knew that. Like, the car company, they slimed their way into everything in the airline. Like, if you did think about it, the airline line and the car company, they slimed their way into the Interstate Commerce Commission, because I can guarantee, for people, if they go back and look at people from the 50s through the 70s, I can guarantee there are multiple people who work for the airline and the car company that managed to sneak their way into the Interstate Commerce Commission, and they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They said, restrict the railroad, we can screw them over, and we can get their passenger and get their people. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. And again, we don't want to get it's. The problem is that we start getting like, it's them, and or whatever sort of conspiracy. We know they exist. We know we get it. It's just okay. Now, how do we combat this? I think it's because a lot of those tend to be, an older demographic that have been still stuck in the way that it's done. Because you can't. In a sense, you can't really blame the baby boomer generation, because that's basically how they've grown up. They really haven't grown up with trains. They grew up at the tail end of it, and that was the end. So they can't really. You can't really show. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't really show them a different ways for a good number of them.
Yeah, for the most part, most of the baby boomers would have been born in the 40s and 50s. So during the decline of the railroads, so they would have had in their formative years the idea of the railroads actually becoming something that's not as shiny as the new automobile and stuff, until you realize something. It's like, all right, here's a person or a piece of cargo. Get it from point A to point B. All right, best way is water. Second best is rail. Third best is ground. Fourth best is air. Fifth best is by rocket via space. All right. So what do? Well, we heavily regulated water transportation to oblivion. We heavily regulated rail transportation to oblivion. We deregulated the roadways in the 60s. We deregulated the airlines in the 70s, and rockets are still not as reliable as they need to be seen as a viable form of transportation.
Right.
So the least able forms of transportation has been deregulated for decades, and they've become the best in the world. But the two best, we're not going to touch those because, oh, this is precedence. This law's been around for over 100 years. We don't want to touch it. And the railroads, well, yeah, it is the best form of transportation on land, but it doesn't need to be more than 10% of cargo. And it can mainly be bulk. And then you wonder why the roads are overflowing.
The thing is, what we need to do to solve the problem is we need to restrict the roads again. Like, we don't need to deregulate road. We need to regulate the road more and make it where everything that is heavy freight and long distance run by rail instead of road. Like,
Well,
depending on what the item is, it need to be run by rail, not
Well-
by truck.
Speaking
well,
of,
you can make the rails better by just deregulating them.
Yeah, because
I mean-
that's the thing. If you start regulating to one end or another, and you start picking winners rather than letting what works, that's where we get into the same issue again. And the railroads kind of got themselves into that sort of problem because they were basically the kings from the 19th century on, and they got a lot of regulation pulled onto them because of the massive amount of power that they had. We don't want the same sort of problem to happen. It's like we understand how how they got themselves into this quagmire throughout history. We don't want it to be a repeat of that by going now the opposite direction, only for the same sort of weapons to be used against railroads again when another sort of thing gets in power. It's just you want to have the precedent to be use what works, let what works. That's you got to keep it simple.
Yeah, because right now you can go out and buy a brand new 18-wheeler truck for like $250,000 and then go become a commercial truck driver relatively easily. But it's like, all right, what's stopping you and a few of your guys from going out and buying a all-electric train unit and then just delivering the train cargo? It's like, all right, you just need 2 or 3 buddies to go with you, and it's like, oh, it's $1 million to get one from Europe and bring it over and to
And you have a
retrofit it. And now you have a business. So it's like, oh, you can only work 8 hours, but there's 3 of us. I'll work 8 hours. So and so will be on break for 8 hours before he goes on, and then the other guy is sleeping. All right, we dropped off cargo. All right, we're going to stop the train at this small town to go to the grocery store. What do you guys need? We'll have a small mini fridge in the back for food for like a week. It's like, all right, you don't have to worry about getting a house because you have a mobile home that you take everywhere. And if you electrify the rails, which even if we use the Brightlines number, it's going to be $3 to $5 million per mile to electrify to their standards, which was about 124.2 miles an hour, which is 200 kilometers an hour or slower, which that gets most of the electrification done pretty easily. And then it's like, all right, you now got tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of truck drivers. One train can replace 40 of those trucks by just pulling 20 double stack carts behind it.
Intermodals.
And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, those 40 containers are going to the same city. You want 40 trucks or you want one train?
Yeah, and
It's going to take the same amount of time. And then once you realize trucks are better than trains for about 100 miles at most, which is 160 kilometers. For
right, because you still need that last mile covered.
So it's like, all right, I delivered it to the city. All right, that container needs to be delivered to that warehouse over there. Is it hooked in by a train system? No. All right, put it on that truck over there. It'll be over there in 2 hours or less.
Exactly. That's what makes sense.
If it's connected by rail, it's like, all right, do you want it delivered by rail or do you want it delivered by truck? Your choice. Now all of a sudden it's like you have options. Then
Exactly.
everything builds up. So it's like, all right, you have a child. Your child's now owning a furniture factory outside of Denver, Colorado. He has a friend out in the Cascades that is sending the wood by rail all the way to the furniture factory. There's a steel forging plant up now in the rebuilding of the Rust Belt. They're sending their metals down. Fabrics is coming from Georgia and the Carolinas and Texas. And now all of a sudden it's like, all right, all your resources can be done at best in your own country. A lesser option would be from the same continent, and anything else is a minor amount of stuff from overseas. So it's like, even if you say, all right, we're not 100% environmentally friendly, that those resources are closer to home, so the environmental impact is much less, and you know what it's going to be ahead of time.
Right.
So all of a sudden, so there's now an even better argument to say, all right, you want to have a cleaner roads? All right, put it on rails and electrify it, and that issue goes to the power plants, and you get cleaner power, you get cleaner roads.
Yeah. You're opening.
And now-
Yeah. You're opening up for another.
Now here-
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
Now here, team, when I was talking about with Brightline earlier, and Brightline, I know you're probably going to talk about it when I get done with it, is that it will be funny, and I already know it's going to happen, that Brightline West are probably going to get trains up and running for California high-speed rail. I'm already guaranteeing that.
Oh yeah, no, that's already down and done, 100% guaranteed. Once they get this going, they're gonna have trains running before California High Speed Rail even does. But to the previous point, that whole example makes perfect sense because, again, you're opening up another industry for more jobs. You're employing more people, and now you're also opening up for more self-sufficiency within the United States. Because how many industries have we offshored that can be now brought back over here with the expansion of not just passenger rail, but more short lines or electrified freight railroads that you can have to be able to get goods between places a heck of a lot faster and a lot more efficiently done than a massive amount of trucks that are long hauling a whole bunch of places everywhere. And I've seen it here in Indianapolis because this is a major stop for for truckers and for a lot of industries over here. I was going through I-70 West, and there was at least 7 trucks and about 4 lanes of traffic everywhere. And it's like, if we just had one train, how many trucks would disappear off the road? You're talking about 200 trucks off, and they're probably, yeah. And it's not like, they're not like going to somewhere else in Indianapolis or anything like that. They're going to go off to Ohio, or they're going to go off to Pennsylvania, or they're going off to Michigan or somewhere far off that, it's far more than 100 or 200 miles. That could be on a train.
Yeah, and for the worst part about it, it's like, all right, pick a highway, any highway, don't care which. All right, sit there for an hour. You're going to count what? 200 to 300 trucks heading on that highway each direction? It's like, all right. For the train example, it's like, all right, 40 containers per train. So it's like, all right, you're talking about taking a lot of trucks off. So for the argument's sake, let's say 2/3 of those trucks are going long distance and 1/3 of those trucks are staying at least in the city or in the region area. All right, that's 167 to 200 trucks per highway per direction. So that's 4 to 5 trains per highway each direction per hour. And those are much smaller trains than what are being used right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, and if you electrify it, it's like, all right, do you hear the trains? The horn occasionally, the rails can be redone so you're not hearing them grind as much. So now all of a sudden it's like, the noise pollution has gone down.
Right, and you can separate the
You're
right of
trying-
way in a whole lot of different places, so there's not
Yeah.
going to be so much of an interference with the existing road traffic.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, what about passenger rail? It's like,
Grade
all right.
separate.
Yeah, and then it's like if you want to have the ideal rail system, you have a fully segregated freight system, fully segregated intra and intercity rail for 200 kilometers an hour or slower, and then you have your dedicated higher speed trains and faster having their own set. So it's like even if you double track each, so you're having 6 sets of tracks per direction at most. So it's like, oh, boo-hoo. Each set of tracks is as wide as a lane. So it's a 6-lane highway versus, that's 8 lanes of traffic for that highway plus feeder roads on the side, 6 lanes there. So you're talking
That would
about,
take up more than-
you're talking 14 lanes of traffic versus 6. And that on all those trains are moving more goods and more people on less land and using a lot less energy to do so, because energy is just energy. It doesn't matter if it's electricity, fuel, or what have you. So it's like you're using less materials and less space.
land.
And then it's like, all right, now what? It's like, all right, you go back to the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, where you have train suburbs where you can have your little bitty town outside the city 20, 30, 40, 50 miles out, and then you can take the train in. All right, it goes, let's say 120 miles an hour. So that's the highest speed it's going to go, but it's not going to reach there and hold it for long. So let's say average it out to 60 miles an hour. But if the average person lives an hour away from work, hour there, hour back, that's 60 miles. All right? Draw a dot on the station downtown. Now draw that circle out, 60 miles. That gets a massive territory that you can have your rail suburban towns.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, do you want to have urban amenities? All right, you're going to have your smaller lot with more likely having a shared backyard or something. All right, you want more open spaces? That's fine. You're going to have a lot less amenities or a lot higher taxes, whichever one you prefer.
Yeah, and I think it's just the way that we've built out our communities in the last several decades. It's just it's not sustainable, and it's already falling apart at some point, and people don't really want to keep sticking into the American suburb system. It's fake. It hasn't really worked. I mean, it works great in a 1980s, John Hughes movie, but outside of that, the 80s have been over. We're nowhere near the amount of economic prosperity that we had then. It was a nice time. It's over. It's time to return to tradition. That's what we need to do.
Well, the problem is it worked at the problems it was looking to address, because one of the greatest ways of building wealth, bar none, is owning land.
Right. It was home ownership, and at least, yeah, exactly. It was pushing that.
Yeah, and the house on top, that adds additional value. But it's like, all right, you got rid of the starter home, so that makes it harder for new people and young families from building out wealth to begin with.
Yeah.
All right, then you mandated that they have larger lots.
Yeah, because
And then you mandated how they can have their gardens and stuff. It's like, all right, you're adding on cost, which slows down anybody else not already there, but it speeds up wealth for those who've already made it. So,
right, and all those all those suburban homes were selling for what, like $40,000, while the average wage was maybe 25,000. Give or take at the time. Now with inflation, we're talking about the average price of a house being $300,000 or $250,000, while the average wage has, with inflation included, maybe gone up to about 45,000. So we're talking about the housing has more or less, in price has more than, or close to about a 10 times, right? It's just 10x the housing prices, while we haven't even doubled really more or less the salaries for most Americans hasn't really doubled since the 1980s, and that's with inflation included. So it's just gotten even worse.
Yeah, and being in the financial services
Right.
industry, you get an idea of how bad it actually is. Because for a healthy economy, you want to have the cost of housing to be no more than like 4 times people's annual income, and right now, it's been between 8 and 10 times people's annual income for the last few years, and it's going to crash.
Exactly.
And the only problem is
Also-
with people putting most of their wealth building into their home. Once the crash happens, people are going to realize what happened in 2007 and 2008, which took 18 months to finally bottom out, will look actually rather reasonable to what will actually have to happen.
Yeah, and that's the
For
big
us to
problem.
return.
We have to change the way that we see housing. Housing is not an investment. It's a place to live in. It's a home. If you start treating it as investments, or I'm going to flip it, or I'm going to buy this house that, could have been somebody else's starter home, somewhere in, let's say, I don't know, let's just say Columbus, Ohio, right? This was a house in the middle of the city that was $60,000. Well, I'm going to flip it and then sell it for $200,000. When you start that mass speculation, that's where the housing prices start to skyrocket like they are now. I mean, you look down in Florida. I mean, my parents' home that they bought in the 1980s was like $60,000. Now the house across the street from them sold for $500,000. It's insane.
And the worst part about it is, once you look at the demographic situation, you're going to realize that people between the ages of 50 and 65 are the highest incoming earners, as well as the ones that are investing the most. And once they turn 65, they start liquidating those assets so they can retire. And most of the world didn't have any children, so we're going to be having a massive amount of financial crunch on top of the fact that we've had historic low interest rates, and we're going to have to return to the 50-year average, which is close to 9%. So
Yeah.
a lot of people who have outstanding debts are going to have to pray that they can keep those outstanding debts with the 3 to 5% interest rates they're currently paying on it, and being thankful that they don't have to pay 7% or higher.
Yeah, it's
And
all
those
connected. Yeah.
Yeah. And once that basically happens, we can get out of it. It just requires everybody who's under the age of 40 to have 3 or more children each, and then we just have to wait 50 years minimum.
Yeah.
And that will bring the money side back, but it won't touch the interest side back, at least in our lifetimes, if not longer. But for the most part, I don't expect, once the interest rates go up to where they're going to be, to ever fall below 5% ever again, at least during my lifetime.
Yeah.
And
We're paying for a party we haven't been able.
30s.
Yeah. We're paying for a party that we didn't really get a chance to really enjoy at all. And for some people, they didn't even get to see the party. They're like, "Hello, welcome to the world. Here's your bill." We all enjoyed our party. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps and pay for our party that we had. Yeah, it's gonna
interest.
exactly. It's just gonna come crashing down, and like we keep saying, it's gonna get worse before it gets worse. And then it will start to get better. But, this is why we keep talking about economics, because it's all tied into infrastructure. If we have, even if the economy were to crash, I mean, okay, at least there's a robust infrastructure to fall back on and rebuild your economy. Because, a good example for sure would be Japan. Because after the bubble economy in the 1990s, it wasn't an absolute terrible crash, and, people were absolutely devastated or anything like that. Sure, the big investors that were investing into a whole bunch of ghost companies and vaporware that wasn't going anywhere, they were the ones that lost out. But I mean, there was still at least a decent economy to fall back on, and there was at least something there to go. I mean, they at least had a country, they at least had an economy. Here in the United States, it's going to turn into an absolute chaotic mess, because we don't have the same homogeneity as Japan does. Neither do we have sort of the infrastructure system they at least have to fall back on and say, okay, well, at least things will keep ticking on. It's not going to tick as well as it did in the 1980s, but at least there's some sort of ticking forward. So
the worst thing,
we're starting from zero.
And the worst thing about the Japan issue is once the bubble finally burst, yes, it was a minor recession, but they've been having a stagnant economy every year since.
Yeah, but
And in the rest of the world, it's not going to be a stagnant economy even in their best times, because it requires you not only to plan for the future and to actually build out that future for future generations, but a lot of the world just don't have much of a future generation. So
oh yeah,
so when I talk to people who are like, you need to have a last will and testament, you need to have life insurance, and you need to have a retirement plan. For most people, they don't have a retirement plan to speak of outside of government assistance. And if all the government welfare programs are already tapped out now, and they're trying to get money in from future generations to pay the current generation, and those future generations are getting smaller each and every year, it's like, then you're going to have no money for your retirement at all, period.
yeah, and I think a lot of us in our generation, we're just not going to even see any sort of retirement. It's like what? Retirement? No, I'm not retarded. What? We're not retiring.
If you want to retire, the best thing to do is just to fund your retirement out, independent of any government or even your company. In a lot of instances, it's great to have a pension,
Now-
but it's good to fund your own pension.
Yeah, you're not getting if you have, maybe, let me see, wait, here's this is all we're gonna see, maybe, if anything, from our Social Security. That's it, a penny. That's it, zero. For those of you who are on the chat, I just showed off a penny on the camera. But yeah, we're not getting much of anything there. But yeah, this is why it's more important that we need a robust infrastructure system to move our economy. We need to start investing in the American worker, the American family again. Okay, especially the family, right? Because people work because they want to support their family. That's the reason why they're working. If you don't have that, you don't have something to live for, you're not going to want to do anything. So that's what we need.
It really needs to go back. It needs to go back to 1900, where back then about 90% of the population actually either ran their own business or worked for a small business. And in 2000, it fell to like 10% of the population.
Because I know people keep wanting to say, oh, we're going to go back to the 1950s. The 1950s is the reason why we're stuck in this as idyllic as it looked like in the movies and in the commercials and stuff like that. It's the beginning of everything that's gone wrong in this country. I mean, you can go back even further than that, but still, it's like we need to turn the clock way back and try this again. If we still have a chance.
We have a chance.
Yeah.
It's the only question is do the people currently in power wish to invest into things that they might not even live long enough to see completed, much less get any benefit from, or will they go to their grave saying, no, I won't allow this, for the current generations to finally say, well, I guess we get to have this conversation in half a generation to a full generation.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. It's most
Probably
yeah, it's the latter. Yeah, Renell, you're right. Yeah, it's going to be the latter.
Now, I will bring up this, is that, and I would try to say it when we were talking about the suburban development. Suburban development is not good for mental health, and that including people with mental disability who are autistic, like me and Val. Like,
And
for people
don't forget about me
like
too.
this, that
Don't forget
too,
about-
you too, Brightline, didn't
I'm
think
on it.
about.
Well, more of the rural side of suburban development is ideal for wealth building, but not very good for the mental health.
Oh yeah, no,
The
not
more urban side of suburban is a lot better, but it really just adds more community aspects and less nature.
Yeah, no, and it's terrible over here
Yeah.
because I'm living as far out in the outskirts for now in Indianapolis, and it's terrible what's going on to the farms over here. They're either going up for sale or for lease, which they're most likely going to be for sale. They're going to put some more BS hastily made suburban homes that are made by basically labor that has walked over here in the last 1 or 2 years. It's molding already on the inside. They'll sell it for $500,000, and they'll go on to the next strip of land to go ahead and destroy. So there's less nature, there's less, and that's not good. You know, we need to be building more towards the interior of cities rather than outwards, because that's just for developers and for banks to go ahead and to profit off.
I've heard excuse me. I've heard that there are some millionaires who are actually buying out some land out there, buying out former farmland. So if there's no food for, I mean, everybody's thinking about consuming, it's about consuming, but nobody's producing anything.
Yeah,
Right.
you're right. Yeah, we need to stop being.
Now-
That's another thing. We need to stop. You know, I'm an American consumer. That I hate that phrase. Like I have consumer rights. That's what your life has turned into, the American consumer. No, we got to stop. We have to stop that mindset. It's like, you know, we're Americans. We produce stuff. We make stuff. That's what we need to get back to.
And don't forget,
yeah.
we have a lot of stuff that are made in China, which soon is going to
China.
be made in Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
At least it's a little bit closer, okay? It's a little closer.
A lot of businesses are moving from China to Mexico because, let's be honest, their transition to the type of stuff we have is going worse because they're doing it way faster than we are, and we're about to see what happens when a country tries to go with all car culture and suburban development and collapse because of it. Because if y'all look at China on map, good God, if people thought suburban development was bad over here, look at how bad it is in China.
Oh yeah.
The Evergrande debacle, and they have complete ghost cities, which people bought into, which are now being
Wait,
down.
the one-to-one scale of Paris that they basically made there in China, that's basically empty, except for like a couple Chinese grandmas that are making, you know, soup outside of, like, you know, it looks like something out of Blade Runner, but it's just so ridiculous.
I mean, and all of those, you know, empty high-rise apartments, you know, all over the place, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of times those buildings aren't even built to code in less developed countries, much less in the very developed world.
Yeah, we don't want. Yeah, we're tired of the suburbs, and we don't want commie blocks. Okay, it's as simple as that. Go ahead, sure.
I've seen this documentary regarding the high-speed rail in California. They say they want to attract a development back to the, like, city center. Instead of having development go, like, away from the cities, bring it back.
Hey, let's not forget about that building collapse that happened a couple of days ago up in New York City. Let's not forget that.
Where 130 people were placed.
Yeah, any of y'all heard about that building collapsing in New York a couple of days ago?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, just a bit of it, but you know, what Winnell was saying. Yeah, it makes sense. We need to. The thing is, it's when you have development closer towards the heart of the city, right? You're centering it on there. That's why, you know, most train stations either were the impetus to starting to build cities like out west, or were situated in the middle of cities in order to keep facilitating that sort of growth. So that's why it's important to keep it. And, you know, of course, you have, you know, your some of your train stations that are either located out in the periphery, or they're going to be outside of there because either they can't build there, or it's just easier to connect to people outside the cities. And so, you know, you have your you have your exceptions, but that's where it makes sense. Yeah. We don't. Everything is crumbling, right? The buildings are crumbling. The roads are crumbling. The crumbling gets coming. That's where we're at.
Yeah, and it looks like 2 more people are wanting to join the conversation.
All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and bring you all in. Okay, it's 8:49. We got 10 minutes. Let's end this. Let's bring this to an end at 9. But there we go. We got everybody Everybody in here.
Mhm.
Okay. I think this is the most amount of people we've had in the audience ever.
Tell me about it.
All right, CR Lee, CT R Lee is first.
Yummy. All right, so yes, I have been listening to part of the conversation, and yeah, so you guys bring up some pretty interesting points too. And one thing I want to talk about is the whole I think we talked about this for quite a while back about the whole Lobetarians and the whole autonomous vehicle replace rail trains and blah blah blah, things like that.
Oh boy.
Whoa. Hold on.
Shadow.
I got something from the FDOT, from the Florida Department of Transportation. They say that they're going to electrify
Oh, the electric road.
train on the turnpike.
I heard about this. Yes, the electric road. It's
Wow.
Like, that will fail, I think.
I know.
at least they're just talking about it. It's Florida. Oh, Florida.
Yeah, put that link in the
Same one
chat.
that shows where moose are walking, just in case you miss a 2-ton animal.
Oh, was that the solar? No, this is not solar powered roadways. As bad as that pile of junk was, but no, this is it's trying to come back, but now in the Sunshine State. Let me see if I can find it because I know I saw that article this week. Unless
A link in chat or it doesn't exist.
Lincoln Chat, no, it does exist. I can vouch for it.
Germany.
Is this the
there's electric
thing
roadways
from the
there.
90s, or it was like slot cars?
Bzz, bzz, yeah.
Even mainstream.
I
media
remember
now.
that where they were selling. Oh yeah, we're gonna make all the cars. We're gonna electrify the road.
All right, here we go. I found it. Okay, so let's see. Construction to build a new expressway linking two areas got green lit. The Central Florida Express Authority, or CFX, plans to build a toll road linking Highway 27 to Highway 429. Did I click the right article here? Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is the one with the electric. Okay, it will have a wildlife underpass to protect wildlife in the area, pathways for runners, walkers, and bikers, and the road itself will charge electric vehicles. We will have the roadway, which will be equipped with these coils that can charge electric vehicle as they hover over them. So for those of you who don't know how that works, somebody's got to mute me on there because.
Say it to you.
Hold on. You guys, mute your microphone because it's feedbacking in. Okay, so for those of you guys that don't know, like for example, if you charge your phones, most phones will have, what's it called? NFC charging or near field communication charging, right? It's basically a coil in your battery, a copper coil that gets heated up on contact by a magnet on there and charges your phone, right? So basically they want to do the same thing of charging cars on electric roadway, which is, you're adding, it's not like charging your phone because it's just one little pad to do it on. You're doing it to an entire roadway, which is going to be a massive amount of money, anything can go wrong, right? It's just silly.
I really like the idea of being boiled alive in my car.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I know there's one in Germany.
That's a popcorn right there, am I right?
There we
I
are.
really love the idea of my car just getting hotter as I drive along the road constantly until it boils me alive in my own sweat.
Florida. What if it's an electric car?
Oh, how original you are.
Yeah.
Electric cars get burned.
Also, what do they mean when they say, "Oh, there's going to be wildlife and there's going to be holes under the road"? Is this going to be like that 1930s thing where they made like little tunnels for kids to get underneath?
Well, they
the
already
highway?
have those wildlife tunnels for different animal groups, but for Florida, you're talking about iguanas and the American crocodile. But I don't think.
I don't think there's crocodiles that far up north in central Florida. I mean, we've got plenty of gators up there, but the crocs are down over south by the Keys.
Yeah, it's like we need to make sure that we can get our alligators and crocodiles across the road without having to run them over.
And they're gonna have to
to communicate with the cyclists as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
John George Bauer in the cat. Yeah, it's Qi wireless charging. That's what it's called, Qi. You have to put your inner Qi while you get boiled in your electric vehicle alive slowly as you're commuting. And you're stuck. Wait. You're stuck in the self-driving car because the locks have melted in there too because they accidentally got some charge from the Qi. So you're just melting in there, just breathing in the flesh, breathing in the plastics.
Don't forget about
And the vegan leather too. That was. I've always made fun of that in the Tesla, the vegan leather. So that burns up.
By 2025, don't they want to be able to shut off all of our cars as well?
Yeah, I'm not buying any car that. I typically just avoid buying or getting any car past 2005.
They're just gonna stop your car on the highway and then boil you alive.
Yeah, like Tom Cruise in the movie. What was it?
Lock your doors.
Yeah, Minority Report. Yeah, where they just get him in, and it's just like, he's under arrest, and they just bring him in the car, and he can't get out, so he has to break out of there. Yeah, that's what we're looking at now. I know I put that joke somewhere about talking about self-driving cars. There's so many videos.
Dimitri, look at the 2 memes that I posted.
Where are they, in the general chat?
I believe so. Sure. Yeah, they're in the general chat.
Oh, hi, dear. Here. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the charging for electric vehicles while they're on the road, on paper looks good, but the technology is still decades away.
Yeah, there's one in Germany. There's one in Germany where they have overhead wires above the autobahn where the trucks can raise up the pantograph and run like a trolley bus.
I can't wait to have rolling blackouts and be boiled alive.
The future's looking bright.
In Germany,
we're gonna live in the most dystopian future. It's gonna be cyberpunk, but none of the cool stuff.
Yeah, none of the cool stuff.
Bazooka for your arm.
It's just the clown world. I still like that in Cyberpunk where you could get like out of a vending machine just like a plastic gun with like 50 rounds in it. That was the machine pistol. That was sick.
Yeah, I was promised Cyberpunk, but all I got was just punk and dystopian area.
Yeah,
I didn't get the cool cybernetics.
Oligarchies. Where's the where are my bazooka arms and vending machine pistols?
Yeah,
I only have the corporate overlords.
That's the only part they'll allow. That's because that's the only part that makes money for them. That's why they have to allow that. Yeah.
Hey Dimitri, did you read the little Tykes meme that I posted?
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, how fast was that kid going? I mean, that's another thing. Has anybody, when they're driving, they're just seeing more accidents and more just boundaries that are blown off, or tire debris, or just stuff on the side of the roadway? Just
I saw that all the time, man.
You got people who are qualified to drive.
Oh, but then what inevitably happens is the government gets involved. So, there's drunk drivers. Well, we're going to have to turn off your cars. So we're just going to have to put in computer chips out everywhere and Wi-Fi, blow up your brain.
Imagine.
I like my brain.
How many journalists are going to be in those self-driving cars that are just going to completely combust and explode? Or somebody that just found out, it's like, hey, I'm just going to go home from work after finding out how to fuel up cars for free. And all of a sudden what a terrible accident that person was. How sad. His car just zipped up to 170 miles an hour while on fire and slammed into a boundary.
Is it just going to be like Finland, where everybody has it's just going to be like a sauna in the middle of a self-driving car?
Yeah, that too. It's at least we're having these conversations, because that's the thing. We just have to just bully these stupid ideas and just say, this is stupid. Just go up there in the commission and just say, I'd like to have a piece of my mind, Your Honor. This is stupid.
Well, it's none of it. And what do you think about it?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Dimitri.
Like the most. Go ahead.
Let me just say that, for people who support cars who say trains are communist, this one word I saved them, and it sucked them up real quick if they're car supporter. If they say, car of freedom, I always tell them this. Say, oh, so you support a metal cage on wheels?
No, in this case.
Wait, who pays for the roads?
Oh, also you need a driver license, and also you didn't pay for tax and registration. So more government control. I guess.
Exactly.
Well, you think about this historically. No, you think about this historically, and the greatest people in mass transit were private industries. You know, Vanderbilt, Pennsylvania Railroad. You know, and most of these places that were built with tradition in mind, ivory pillars and massive statues to give you a sense of what it is to be American. It's all gone out the window for glass rectangles.
Well, for the most part, once you look into history,
There are a lot less of rectangles and now more blobs.
Yeah, once you look into history and actually look at what actually happened, some of the best companies and the best times ever were done by visionaries who really didn't give a crap about what people thought, and they built things that everybody enjoyed. But those companies and parts of the entire regions went down the moment those people either left because of age or they died.
Yeah.
So they're now just husk of their former selves.
Right. I guess last point to bring it on, like, you know, speaking of visionaries, I mean, just look at Florida. I mean, look at what Flagler built was basically the entire state of Florida as it exists today, right? Because that entire state would not exist the way it is now without Henry Flagler building the FEC down all the way to Key West. I mean, that railroad, the overseas railroad was called the eighth modern wonder of the world at that time because of just the amount of engineering that we're talking about 120 years ago, more or less. Okay, you know, we can't build that again. We can't build stuff like that again. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's
embarrassing, man.
It's because
and the most embarrassing and disgusting thing that happened is when they tore it down and put a road over it. That
US 1.
No, it's because this is the thing. Is that government has basically almost never been able to do a project under budget, on time, and to make a profit because they just have basically infinite money to throw at anything. And when you have infinite resources, you don't think about any problems. You don't think about making money. You don't think intelligently. You just go, what can we do? Well, we'll do whatever because we have a blank check. When you're Vanderbilt, when you're Pennsylvania Railroad, you have to make a profit. So you have to make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And once government runs out of the infinite money, it's time to get those printers starting to go burring again.
They either print out the money, or if they got to make they'll go over and audit a couple of the younger folks and start kicking down the doors and shooting down dogs. So that's what they get to.
The value of our dollar is entirely based on faith, and the faith is very low at this point in history.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's backing the dollar really is that there's the military at that point, and now that we're seeing the downfall of that, why would you want to back by the dollar at this point, 50, 100 years from now, at this point?
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, and we're kind of just stuck in it. So it's just like, okay. All right, last words. 9:03. We're gonna shut this off 9:10.
Yeah, but when you look at money, every single currency that has gone to the fiat system, which the U.S. dollar currently is, it's only lasted for 50 to 100 years. We went off in 1971, so we're at 52, going on 53 years now. So
just look at what happens when any foreign power goes, hey, we want to get back to the gold. We want to get back to a standard, not the gold standard, but just any standard. And all of the countries that are on fiat currency, they start sweating bullets and they go, okay, we're going to go to World War III, I guess, because if we don't, you have to play by this system because that's the only way it works.
Yeah, how many people have tried going on to the gold standard or getting off somewhere? Yeah, how many places we can go to that?
Libya was the most recent one.
Yeah.
China is also on the gold standard, as I've heard.
Oh, it was nice knowing you, Xi. Goodbye. Good.
To be honest, let me be honest. To try to go on a collapse before the U.S.
Well, I think
Because-
They're already in collapse. The only thing holding them together is their political will in order to maintain control. But
Dude, I remember when I was
They-
in middle school, and that was a long time ago for me, and picking up a Time magazine article about the China bubble. You know, that country is always in a state of collapse and not collapse. It's Schrodinger's China. So the thing is, I think China and the U.S. are going to collapse. They're going to collapse together. It's not just one collapses and one stays up. They're both going to collapse, either one or the other. So it's like it's not like who's going to go first. It's the whole Jenga tower falls down, and it's not nobody's going to care who pulled what.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm going to be fascinated. I'm going to be fascinated to see how World War III goes when we don't have functional cargo trains
Yeah.
or just
Logistic.
any infrastructure at all.
That or you know how many people are just not going to join up. You know, nobody just cares. Like, okay, good luck. You know,
We're gonna
it's
draft people, and people are they're just going to be like, "No, we don't want to."
yeah.
We have 5 people and a dog, so get them on.
it's that awkward moment. It's like, oh, you wanted the war, you got the war, but now you don't want to fight. No. We demand that. You wanted it. You go fight it.
Yeah.
We said no to the war, and you didn't listen to us.
Fight for the rich people.
I think one of the last polls that really gave me a smile was the support for having a war in Israel, and it was mostly all the baby boomers and up. It was like 81% of them supported like drafting everybody into there, and it was a vast difference between millennials and Zoomers who were saying no. It's like a vast majority said no, we're not supporting that at all. So it's like, okay, well, you know, if you want to go ahead, you can go over there, and you know, it's like that. What was it that meme of like Senator like Bloodthorn or something like that, at like 120 years old, like, come on, I just want to see a nuclear blast before I die, just once, please. You know, this is what we're dealing with. It's like, no, we're not. We're done. You know.
No,
You already had this generation's Vietnam. It's like, you know, and it was the exact same choppers going off from the embassy again.
Just to go back to World War I, when the U.S. decided to do a constitutional amendment that changed the declaration of war from Congress over to a popular vote. But if you voted yes for the war and it passed, you would automatically be drafted to go fight in that war.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're 50 years old and you voted for it? Well, you get drafted. Oh, you can't fight? Oh, don't worry. Your 18-year-old child will go in your stead. Don't worry.
Well, but that's the thing.
He's not exempt.
No, I mean that's the thing is the baby boomer generation is a generation of people. If I got mine, I'm past all of that crap, so I don't care what happens. You know, I got my job, I have my career, I have my Land Cruiser or my BMW. So you can go fight wars for me. I don't give a shit.
I mean, yeah, basically the rich guys actually want more wars. Countries lose wars, alright? You know, Ukraine versus Russia, both countries are losing. The only ones who are winning are
Raytheon.
the military contractors.
Yeah,
Raytheon, Boeing, you know, those are the ones who are winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, Dimitri, you remember a couple of live stream ago I said we got to do a YouTuber collab of a both doing a live stream? You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, we got 9 people here. I think this is much more of a collab right now.
You're right.
Yeah, because I'm live streaming on my YouTube channel too. Like, we're live on my channel too. You're live on your channel. So, that's not ironic because I was not expecting you to do a live stream tonight.
I was not expecting me to do it, but I went along with it, I guess. Any other last words we want to end on? Let's try to end on a better note. Yeah, we know everything is shit. We love being cynical about it. We know it's funny. with our millennial and Zoomer dark humor. But you know, what else can we say? What's some bright? Without saying bright line, that's the dark challenge there. It was any bright spots without saying bright line.
Yeah, I could say a break.
Dimitri, there's something I needed to talk about, and it's about that last one, bring it back passenger service.
No,
Like,
I can say a
have
bright
you heard
spot.
down in Mexico?
Yes. Yes.
Like, CPKC is talking about bringing passenger service. Meaning,
Ooh.
in our lifetime, we could be seeing a Class 1 having an own passenger service. In our lifetime, again.
CPKC?
That's,
Oh, yeah.
For real?
Yes.
yes.
I think that's good.
Yeah, it can happen. I mean, we've seen it happen. We've seen freight roads bring back passenger rail services, so I don't see why not.
CPKC.
I just want to bring out about number one. There's two great news that I want to talk about, and it's about Amtrak Cascades. The people in the Cascadia region want to have a high-speed rail system, but others want to revitalize the Amtrak Cascades service.
Okay.
Don't we need to buff up the surface? We need to buff the surface up. That's a priority.
Yeah, get the service going, and then build some high-speed rail, afterwards or in conjunction. It's like you already have a service there. Just upgrade that, and then go to what works, right?
Right. And another one that Mexico is actually having its own system, like Amtrak
Train Maya?
system.
The Train Maya is supposed to be opening operations
No, not the
this
train,
month.
No, what I'm talking about is not the Train Maya. David and I were talking about it. It's more like an interoceanic corridor between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific.
Okay.
Interesting.
But it's going on is that Mexico is taking its hand to form its own version of Amtrak and telling the Class 1 the Class 1 down in Mexico is that they either do passenger service or the Navy is going to take over and do passenger service for them. And CPKC agrees with the Mexican government, and they are planning their own passenger service down in Mexico. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing revive the passenger service here in Canada too.
So in our lifetime, probably because CPKC, with them doing that down in Mexico, they're probably eventually going to do it in the U.S. and then Canada, meaning they could be the first Class 1 in North America to bring passenger service back with a Class 1 since the 1980s, which will be crazy. Like, it will be crazy if it does happen, meaning we'll be seeing freight railroads that also have passenger service with them again. And I think CPKC is probably going to be the one to lead the way, because they got their act together. They don't do PSR, like, let's be honest, CP and its PSR once they got rid of you-know-who, and KCP or Kansas City Southern, before they merged, they literally said that they'll never do PSR, which they never did. But they were the only Class 1 railroad that never done.
Yeah.
And now that both of them are now a new Class 1 because they merged, which they could be probably the first railroads to actually lead the way, bringing back passenger rail service with Class 1. Am I right?
Yeah, I think we can end it there. The good thing is that even with economic turmoil, it may force a lot of these freight railroad companies to diversify their operations and adapt and say, okay, if we're not moving as much freight, people still want to get around. Let's see if we can offer or operate some sort of form of some budget passenger rail service or something to get things moving. right? Because, like, for example, like the Hoosier Rail Service over here for a time was being run by a privatized company because Amtrak couldn't run it for a good bit. And that was actually pretty well done. So, I mean, there's a possibility that that can happen again, and it does work. It's just, you know, things need to be shaken up a lot more. And there's, you know, as chaotic as things may be, that may be the only reason why things are happening or could happen as fast as we wanted to, because there's a massive need for it.
Well, the good thing at the end of the day is you just have to think about this. The opposition, everything that they do is self-destructive. It's all crap. And what that means is inevitably it's just going to fall apart, and us, you, whoever's out there, you know, we're going to be there to pick up the pieces. And that's what we just have to sit and wait. We just have to wait to pick up the pieces. So, you know, it's like, just get ready, and eventually things are going to get back around to being healthy again.
But while we're waiting, we get ourselves, you know, prepared. We learn about this. We share ideas. This is the whole reason why this channel is here, right? It's at least to share these ideas, to get them out there into the public. Exactly.
Marcel is on the boiling corpses from the election.
Exactly.
Wireless charging. Get it right.
I'm getting my inner cheese set up. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. This was good. So, yeah. We'll end it here. Thank you all for coming on board. Well, this was good. I enjoyed it. So thank you all, man. This was great.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
You have a night.
Yep. Good night. Godspeed to everybody out there and to everyone out in chat and in YouTube land. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you all next time. Take care. Godspeed.